There is so much new coming in iOS 12. We've been breaking down all the different categories to see what has changed in Apple's latest release. Welcome everyone, it is Andrew here from AppleInsider. And that's right, we've got everything new with Siri inside of iOS 12. First up is toggling Siri within low power mode. Those famous keywords, which I will not say in this video, you could not use when low power mode is on. Now you can see we've toggled it. I will say them here in the privacy of my own home, and you can see Siri was toggled. Of course, the HomePod kept taking over in this specific instance, but you can still see it being toggled every time I say those words. So if you do like using Siri's catchphrase, you can now invoke her from low power mode when your battery may be waning. Siri has some new voices or accents, however you want to look at it, here in iOS 12. By going into Settings, Siri and Search, and then the Siri Voice, you can see we have technically 4 new options, which is Irish and South African in both male and female variations. As always, tapping on them gives you a little preview before they'll download, though you will need Wi-Fi to download those new voices. Passwords got quite the overhaul in iOS 12, and Siri comes along with that. You can now just ask Siri to find specific passwords. I am not going to authenticate with Face ID and show all of my Gmail passwords, but you could see just by asking her to find my Gmail passwords, she was able to do just that. Speaking of finding things, Siri is now able to find your different devices, and that includes anyone who's on your family account as well. If I can't find my iPad, I can just ask Siri, where's my iPad at? This even works on the HomePod, so it can be really helpful. Even though we're getting the new Shortcuts app, anyone who's still hanging around using Workflow is still able to use these and add them to Siri. You just have to create one from here within the Workflow app, then go over to Settings, Siri, and then you can see Siri Shortcuts. You can add them there, though we highly recommend everyone just kind of make the move to Shortcuts because that's where everyone's going to be moving anyway, as Shortcuts is most likely going to replace the Workflow app. So speaking of shortcuts, it's basically just a bunch of different quick tasks that you do pretty commonly. Now you can take any of these that you actually have in there that you've created, that you pull from like kind of the gallery that they give you, and you can add these tasks to Siri. It can be something as small as opening up this ASCII clipboard, or it could be sharing a bunch of information when you get home. It could be announcing to someone you're heading home, opening up your maps, adjusting your thermostat, all of these things at the same time. It can be really handy, and they can even be baked into third-party applications. For instance, the Tile Bluetooth tracker. I could just ask Siri where my wallet is, and it'd be able to find my Bluetooth tracker and start ringing it. Really quite handy. Out of the gate, it looks like we may see a little bit limited functionality. For instance, HomeKit stuff is not easily added in. It can be added in if it is part of a Siri suggestion, which can occasionally happen, especially if it's something that you're using quite commonly, but otherwise, you're going to be limited for now. Siri has long been able to control various settings, but one that it could not control was the flashlight. Now that can be toggled on and off using Siri instead of having to dive into Control Center. It was an odd bit of inconsistency that Apple has clearly cleared up here in iOS 12. Siri suggestions are even more powerful this time around. You can see them all throughout the OS, whether it's from Spotlight and it's prompting you to send a message to someone you always send a message to at this time of day, or a reminder to turn on Do Not Disturb mode automatically when you arrive for a movie that you have a ticket for in your wallet, or it's somebody's birthday and you happen to have their birthday and their phone number in your contacts and calendar. Siri also knows a lot more about new categories. Now, a little bit of this is hit or miss, especially since some work with Siri is done on the back end and not locally on your phone. So some of this may be reproducible inside of iOS 11 in our little demos here, but Siri does know now a lot more about food, about motorsports, which you can see is not even listed as a sport here inside of Siri when we ask her a question about them. She knows a lot more about famous people and celebrities, and even the Photos app. Though again, a lot of this stuff is really not working at the moment in the current beta. But of course it will be by the time that iOS 12 is public. You can fully dive in and see what Siri really knows. Some things just aren't pulling back expected results. For instance, I'm trying to find a picture of my girlfriend in my photos, or trying to find some photos of us on the water. These are photos that I have tons of in the Photos app, and yet Siri doesn't think any of them exist. Siri is now able to help you play music in other third-party apps, though not exactly the same way that you can with Apple Music. They call it a Siri Intent, and basically they can be added in to work with Siri, but in a limited capacity. So I can add those into maybe a Siri shortcut, which can automatically play a certain playlist inside of Spotify or another radio station inside of Pandora. Siri still has a lot more ways to go, but iOS 12 really is a big step forward in adding a lot of additional functionality. There's still many things that Siri does not do well with compared to others, but hopefully we'll see even more improvements next year. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comments.
If you enjoyed this video, like it and hit that subscribe button. Also, check out our price guide, which makes it extremely easy to find the best deals on Apple products updated daily. Be sure to follow us on social media, and we'll see you in the next video.